On this file, it has now officially been over 100 hours of playtime. It's hard to believe, but it's true. Welcome back, everybody, to Stardew Valley here on Fantasy Farm. Let's take a look at how things are going. Spirits are mad. Oil with bombs cannot damage you. Blessing of Fangs. Also, our tea leaves will now start showing up as it is the last week of spring. Alright, Sebastian, I will catch you later. In the last episode, I would say probably the biggest thing that we did, as you can see, we cooked quite a bit. We basically did every single recipe possible, with missing two. One we need a salmon for, and one we need the actual recipe for. So it'll be a little while before we can get either of those, depending on how good or bad our luck is. But I guess we'll find that out at a later date. For now, what is our week going to look like here? Admittedly, this one's probably going to be a lot more post-commentary than normal. I won't be showing a full day here, as there's just really not a need to. Primarily what we're going to be seeing here, though, is going to be just focusing almost entirely on money-making. Ideally, and hopefully, I'm going to have the obelisk ready for the mountains, the final obelisk that we need. We'll be heading towards the golden clock. There's nothing really I need to grow. I did off-screen look at my crafting recipes and see if there was anything I was missing. The only crafting recipes that I'm missing are all ones that we have left to buy from Key, so we do need to do the Key challenges. So I will go ahead and take a look at those really quick. But aside from that, everything else has been obtained, either through people giving them to me or through leveling up. Anything like that has all been done, all been taken care of. So on that front, we are totally good. So, instead, we're going to check the key challenges, maybe the special orders board. We might do that if we've got nothing else going on. But aside from that, I might start working on the crafting recipes as well, since we're waiting on the cooking ones for the time being. Our challenges are... Yes, here we go. Right here. This is what we're looking for. Not the Skull Cavern one. Danger in the deep. The mine elevator system has been reset and new dangers have emerged from deep underground. Make it to the bottom of the mines in 1 week. This is what we have been waiting for. This is how we're going to get our radioactive ore and everything else. We've been waiting a long, long time for this. And you know what? I think we're prepared. We've got an infinity blade at this point. We have plenty of cooking, as you can clearly see, so we've got plenty of things to be able to eat if we need to. And honestly, yeah, we're on pretty much as prepped as we possibly could be for it, so I think it'll go just fine. Fingers crossed, though, because it will be my first time actually going through this version, as I could never get it to pop up, fittingly enough, on any of my other files, so this will be a first for me. So we will see how it goes. Actually, I don't think it's a first. I think I've done a little bit, because I remember making the heavy tappers, and you do need the radioactive bars for that. So maybe not in full, but a pretty decent chunk. Alright, those are all sold. I'm going to worry about planting seeds at a later date, so we don't really have any seeds. Well, no, we do have some. We have these taro tubers. We'll go ahead and plant these. There's no reason to not plant them, right? Since the caverns have been reset, I do want to be a little bit quick here. Not like lightning speed quick, but I do want to get going as best I can. So let's check our other stuff. And I think from here, we'll go ahead and cut, and we'll take a look at how the more dangerous mines go. Apparently, and I don't know if it still exists in multiplayer, there is a glitch, or was at some point in a previous one. It might have been patched out, but in multiplayer, you could have somebody sit on the elevator where you choose what floor to go to. And then once somebody accepted the quest, you could just automatically take the elevator down to floor 120 and just finish the quest that way. Obviously, I'm not doing that because this is a single-player file, and while it would be cool to show off, I think I would only do that on some sort of subsequent run of playing Stardew, because, I don't know, just feels like you wouldn't earn it the legit way by doing it that way, so, you know, either way. Alright, I will cut once the routine is done, and we'll see what the new caverns look like. Yes, it's finally appeared. The difficult version of the normal caverns. There's a lot of new stuff in here, but honestly what surprised me most were some of the monster drops. I treated this a little bit like a Skull Cavern run, using luck buffs and bombs to try to alleviate some of that issue. Speaking of issue, radioactive ore. Apparently, as I found out, a huge portion of how much appears is dependent on your luck for the day. And things like going to lower floors and using luck-boosting items don't really do that much. Fortunately, if you do need more, if you can get to floor 120, it will now have a toggle to activate the hard version of this dungeon when necessary at any time. We found basically squat for ore. Honestly, it was a bit hilarious. My strategy here was actually a bit similar to how I'll be doing the caves from now on, pausing every 5 or 10 floors to pick up more bombs or drop off things if necessary. What did turn out to be quite helpful was the fact that enemies can drop key gems. I had no idea about this, but that would be a good way to make a few more of them if your weekly challenge is already done and you're looking for more. It was part of the reason that I went after as many enemies as I did. I wanted to also see what they might drop, plus, you know, money for my trinket is a nice bonus too. Floors 1 through 30 were pretty easy. They were all about on par what I had expected the Skull Cavern enemies, to be honest. Once floor 40 hit, well, I actually kind of like this tropical theme. Is it just me? They're equivalents to the Dust Sprites, and knowing I'd need more coal, I did fight them pretty much as often as I could. I did have to stop at floor 45, but for one day, that's not too bad. If we keep up that pace, we'll be done in 2 more days. Let's see how round 2 goes. Spirits very happy? Yeah, sure they were. We'll see about that when it comes to the haul at the end of the day. I still am taking some time for the routine, but it's primarily to keep that income flowing for bombs and the future purchases we'll be making. Already the geode amount was crazy. We picked up 45 normal ones from yesterday. I'll just be breaking those open with a crusher when I've got time or I'm passing by. We start by picking up a new trinket, the Ice Rod. Probably a pretty useful one if enemies tend to overwhelm you easily down here. Floor 51 introduced to us what I would like to call the Putrid Ghost. Much like in Mother 3, it belches on you and prevents you from eating to restore health for a few minutes. However, the ginger ale is a remedy to this. If you're low on healing items or you take damage a lot, bring some of these with you to circumvent this. Despite my dislike of spiders, they actually telegraph their movement pretty easily. I actually got used to little critters. We were making absolute bank on coal with those Dust Sprite alternate enemies, combined with the buff of the day. It was nice to see, considering that I knew I'd either need it to smelt for bars, or at least want it for more preserves jars. Floor 70, we've now migrated to ice. It honestly wasn't that dissimilar from the floors of the OG cave. Just pallet swaps for the skeletons and some floating skull heads. We also finally actually see a node of iridium ore before we have to leave. Enjoy it. There will not be many more. Again, I get the coal buff and get another round of jellies for income. Even with the Mega Bomb spending, we're still making a net profit for on-hand gold. The Flower Dance is today, but we're not going for 3 reasons. 1, we've still got a key quest to do. 2, there's nothing to buy or even really be gained from going. And 3, Sebastian doesn't even want to go, so we just don't go. That simple. Knowing that I was way ahead of schedule, I harvested and replanted on the island farm. It was also an excuse to see if Gus was there despite the holiday. He, sadly, was not. Mega Bombs in hand at almost 2 p.m., we continue from floor 75. On floor 77, an enemy drops a magic rock candy. One of the best food items in the game? Okay? Once we hit floor 80, we're back to a lava/deep mine theme. Most annoying enemy here, the guys with the crossbows. They inflict darkness if they hit you, severely limiting your ability to see. Luckily, they don't hit very hard, at least. It doesn't take long for our inventory to fill up, around floor 88. Just as I get to 89, however, one of the enemies drops a galaxy soul? Apparently after defeating 50 dangerous monsters, hence the quest title, any enemy can drop them. I probably should have gone and dropped up my inventory at floor 90, but honestly, I just wanted to keep seeing what would happen. Despite the lack of radioactive ore, the drops were keeping me engaged. Luckily, nothing really valuable had to be trashed since I only had enough time left to get to floor 95. With the ore chest getting full, I did move some rings over to the chest by the shipping bin, giving us a bit more space for the new items here. Again, more coal, and I approve. The strawberries are ready. All 440 of them. Again, making money despite buying those mega bombs. Making good use of the coal, we had more preserves jars and stocked them all with strawberries once again. Next round of the dangerous mines. Lots of enemies in these lowest floors. I do want to note that there are no treasure chests on the floors with multiples of 10, but honestly, given some of the enemy drops, not really a big deal. Making a quick drop-off for items and to get more Mega Bombs at floor 110, I go ahead and collect and get more Starfruit wine going, only to find out we're out of Starfruit? Well, I filled the rest with Ancient Fruit, but I'm going to need to keep an eye on that. Still, as long as there's enough to use, then we're good. We do have to stop just shy of our goal at floor 115, but tomorrow, that dungeon is as good as complete. Also, holy crap, that profit. The spring seeds are all finished up, save for any remaining rounds of strawberries. Hey look! There's a catalog at the Traveling Merchant! Just kidding, it's the Joja one. We do get the final obelisk built though, the mountain one that will probably also never be used, and thus why it's relegated to the corner. Hope you like bats, because floor 115 was full of them. 118 was no slouch on the enemy department either. Floor 119 has the final piece of iridium ore in this entire run of the mines. Told you there was basically squat. Still, the run is complete, and we get our key gems. I dropped the bar into the shipping bin, knowing I'd have to do it sooner or later. Up next is our reward, and we use that to buy the blue grass starter. It's a type of grass that makes your animals like you more, but they have to eat it while it's actually in the ground. Kinda useful, and you can do a trick with that stuff in the animal pen to keep it always growing, but I'm not all invested in it. The hopper recipe is still too expensive for now, but we'll get there. So, remember how we did, like, a ton of cooking? Well, time to do that with the crafting. I set up a big chest behind the house, and we get to it. Like with the cooking, we do have almost everything we need to get these things done. Most of what we don't have are things we can make, like iron bars, for example. Crafting the heavy furnace actually helps speed this process up considerably, so that was a plus. Some of the things I crafted I actually will be using to make more money in the future. The bait maker will enable me to continuously catch high-quality fish types, the jukebox will give me some different music for the farm, and the magic bait means that I might be able to get that salmon way earlier than expected. Also, I like how radiation is a good fertilizer ingredient. Salting the earth a la Rome did to Carthage during the Punic Wars messed it up for decade after decade. Radioactive ore? No problem, it'll make it better. The high majority of this stuff, I will probably never use. Or I'll just, use it to give me extra space in the chest. Still, it is cool to see how much has been added over the years, like the extra braziers. Pretty much the only items I don't outright have the materials for is the mini forge, which requires 5 dragon teeth, and I've only got 1. And a few recipes like the heavy tapper that need more radioactive ore. Yeah, I don't blame them, I would have liked to have more of that ore too. The last thing to do was to get more iron bars going for the following day, but... Full shipment is finally completed. We have done the achievement for shipping every item in the game, and that's a relief as somebody who still needs to craft some recipes and items. We get one last hit from the speed grow strawberries as well. Their sacrifice will be remembered. Also, more starfruit are ready, and because I planted some extra seeds to clear up some inventory, I need to make a new iridium sprinkler at some point for that farm too. Planning a new set of starfruit, and thankful we got almost another full set for wine, Gus is sadly still not at the island. If anybody actually deserves a day off, it's him, am I right? We're now at 87% total with all the crafting we've done, nearing that home stretch. Taking a look at what's left to craft, I notice I need an ancient seed, as in the artifact, to make ancient seeds the item. A bit silly, but alright. Also, remember the braziers I was talking about? Turns out I don't have marble to make it, but I know where to get one. It sucks, but Clint will genuinely make the process go faster than the geode crusher. Thankfully, it only took 3 Omni Geodes before we found one. Yeah, that was it. Ta-ta, nerd. Oh, small note here, the wedding ring, that multiplayer item, it's not required for the whole craft all items thing. As we wait for some iron bars to craft the last of what we can make, I do another round of routine. Iron bars, stone, and clay were easily the objects I needed the most of to do all of these recipes. With really not that much else to do, I decided to go looking for an ancient seed by defeating low-level enemies. They'll actually also give me the money bonus for my trinket as well. Considering it took a while to get the initial ancient fruit, I figured this might be a long process. Until it wasn't, and I actually got one at 10 p.m., not even realizing it until I got back home. Well, that was pretty easy. I'm pleasantly surprised. With the last thing we can do for now, the solar panel crafted, it's time for bed. Ryu is now able to stand up in his crib, meaning we can actually start building hearts with him. Maybe we'll get a critical baby toss at some point. Yes, that is a real thing. With all of our big goals done for the time being, once routine was over and jellies were sold and restocked, I checked the traveling merchant. Again. But this time, it was there. I celebrated by slicing up a good bit of hay for the animals, then went straight to my other catalogs and extra items to get started on that project of finally turning that big empty room into something. I wanted to do more of the jungle theme, but also kind of mix in some of the Junimo items and make it feel a bit more spooky/sacred. It turned out okay. There's still one bit of this room I want to do, which is why I'm not showing it off yet, as I didn't really have enough time to get there, and besides, there are some other items that I want to purchase, so we'll do it in another video. Leaving my catalogs there, and happy I'll be able to decorate more, I ended the day. Thank you all very much for watching this episode. We decorated, we conquered the mines, our baby is growing up, and we crafted enough stuff to near the 90% completion mark. I will see you all in the next one. Later.